Where's Mama G?
She's wandering out in the dark.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Well, she's on her own.
Yeah. That's what I said too as she walked away.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Mama G is on her own. And if you're wondering why Mama G is on her own, we're at 97.5 The Rock. We're broadcasting live from the Mcpike Mansion in Alton, and Mama G apparently decided to go on a walkabout.
Yeah.
She wandered off about 10 minutes ago. I haven't seen
That's
her
right.
since. So, yeah.
I've heard no screams, no
Well, that's true.
cries, so I guess it's a good thing.
That's right. She's probably just muffling it all out anyway.
We're talking about all of the cool stuff that's going on. A little bit of history here with the Mcpike Mansion, which I know I won't get everything right because I don't have my file and I don't have my glasses, so if I did have my file and looked at it, I couldn't read it.
Sure, yeah.
It was built a long time ago. I want to say in the 1850s, 1859, 1869, right in that time frame. By a very wealthy gentleman here in the Madison County area, Henry Mcpike, and it is a very grand house. I mean, you walk in and you can just see it was a mansion. And the gentleman who owned it, Mr. Mcpike, was a huge into botany and all of that type of thing. Created a grape that is apparently still has some cuttings in California that they have locked away that they still use, I guess, in variations of winemaking. So there's a lot of history in this house outside of the other owners, which we'll kind of go into as we go through the evening. This man was historically very well-to-do politically in the realm of politics. Had contact with Lincoln and helped arrange the Lincoln-Douglas debates here in Alton. So it's very historic, and Alton is in and of itself a very historic town here on the river. But this mansion is as well, because the other thing that I heard that the guys from the paranormal group, which we will be talking to Dustin and Bob here in a bit. All of these rocks, all of these the foundation.
Believe in these walls are
these walls. Yes, they came from the Alton prison.
That's not true.
Okay.
No, that's just a legend. That's not true. No, this the prison was still standing when this place was built.
Yeah, where was the prison?
The prison was located down close to the waterfront.
Down by
and
the.
it was originally built back in 1833, and it was the very first prison in the state.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Illinois State Penitentiary, and then eventually was. Because of the conditions there, was taken out of commission in the late 1850s when Joliet opened, and
the Blues Brothers.
Right, exactly, right. And so then when the Civil War started, they needed a place to store overflow prisoners from St. Louis, and they started moving them over here.
I got it.
So the penitentiary was used during the Civil War, was closed down afterward, but was still standing into the 1870s.
Okay.
And then they started tearing bits of it down. It was not used to build any buildings in the city of Alton.
Okay.
That's just a legend that actually sadly got started by a television show. The Scariest Places on Earth with Linda Blair, that show back in the 90s. They started that story, and it wasn't true, and it just sort of took root. And I've been fighting that story with the tours and the Haunted Alton book for years.
Is that the show where they'd have the little lady from Poltergeist?
Yes, who did the narration. Yeah. So it's I've been fighting that story for years, but unfortunately, while it would be a cool story, it's true. What it is that it's limestone and it's all cut from the same quarry. It's all came from the same quarries in this area, and it's a particular kind of limestone, so it all looks alike.
Right.
But it's not the same. It's not from any particular building.
I've got a throwback that you'll probably remember, you might remember, and you won't. You might. Leonard Nimoy in Search of.
Yes.
I wasn't watching it, but I know of it.
That
way
is
too young for that.
Oh, okay.
Same here.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, number one, you're lying because you're older than me. And I'll throw you under the bus and back over you a couple times on that one. Just let you know. Joy Taylor is hanging out with us, an author and kind of a know-it-all when it comes to kind of the paranormal.
Know-it-all, I hear that a lot.
No, I mean, you're a wealth of information. I mean that in a kind way.
Useless. You forgot the useless information part. Yeah.
That's different.
Consider present
Okay, well,
okay.
Now, you talked. You have the tours, and based out of Decatur in that particular area.
Yeah, well, we've got the Decatur tour. I think I mentioned earlier in Alton and Lebanon and Jacksonville, and we've got a couple starting in Springfield, and we've got one that travels all over the country.
Okay.
We've got a trip to. In fact, I'll be in Arizona next weekend on one of our trips.
Okay.
We just book haunted weekends at haunted places tours, and we arrange tours and ghost hunts and that kind of thing for people. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I think that the guys who work for me, at least in that company, just do it for the free trip. I'm pretty sure, but
'Cause they're not getting
yeah, because I don't pay them. No, I'm just kidding. But it
You know how that
is a
feels,
lot of
doesn't
fun. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So sometimes I go along, which they hate because
Because the bosses.
the bosses.
Yeah.
But I don't do anything anyway. I just kind of stand around. So, but yeah, it's so it's a lot of fun. We're really expanding next year with a lot of new tours, and people just like that kind of stuff. It's a chance for people to experience things and hear about the history and ghost stories and things. Go to places they might not be able to go otherwise.
Right.
Especially with like the weekends, we get into a lot of places that aren't open to the public. And you know, even the same way with the tours, you know, we get into places, I mean, like here in town, one of our really popular stops is the First Unitarian Church. Well, church being haunted is odd enough, but most
Bit of
people
irony
just
there.
don't get to wander into a church and look for ghosts.
Right.
You know, it just, you know, it's not a common thing. So it's a chance for people to get to do stuff they wouldn't do otherwise. And you never know what'll happen because
Right.
we do have weird things that happen on the tour sometimes. So
Now, how can, if they're listening to this and they're going through and they want to find out more, if it intrigues them, website, I'm sure, but is that about the easiest way to really
that
find out
is the
more?
easiest way. You can find everything about the books, tours, everything at AmericanHauntings.net. That's it. I mean, everything is there.
.net.
So yeah, everything is there.
And the residual is worn off, and now I get it. I've been to that website many times. And I've read a lot of his books, and that's what the killer is.
There you go.
The thing with any new books in the works, I mean, you've got something.
There's always something.
Are you
in the
writing
works.
all the time?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's always a project going on. We've got some St. Louis stuff coming out early in the year. I've got a couple of crime books coming out next year.
Right.
I've got a book coming out for Christmas called Cabinet of Curiosities, and it's what I did was I took the story of the supernatural, like the history of the supernatural in America, from the Fox sisters and spiritualism up until modern times, but I did it through objects. Like I chose 20 objects that represented each story.
Okay.
I actually got the idea from a book that was done about the Civil War, and they had taken a museum and they had found all these objects in the museum and they told the history of it. And I thought, well, what a cool idea to do with the supernatural.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's coming out for Christmas. It's kind of a best of thing. So everyone should buy one for everyone they know.
There you go.
And then that'll just take care of it.
There you go, because Daddy needs a new bus. Just, I'm kidding.
Well, no, that's okay. Get
Get a bus. Now, when I say you're writing all the time, are you as far as the creative time? Because what you do there, it just boggles my mind because I have about that much creativity in my
But the
body.
beauty of it is, like with the tour companies and all that stuff, I finally, after 20 years, have finally let go a little bit and now have like a staff.
Right.
And I never dreamed of having a staff before, and it suddenly freed up all this time. So I figure I did 104 books doing everything.
Right.
So now that I'm doing pretty much nothing, I should be able to write like another 100 books in by next
half
year.
the time.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Well,
it should be
the
it
math
should be easy, right? So
Well, no. The thing is, you have a gift that you have you're capable of doing that. You have that ability to do this.
Schizophrenia.
Well,
I don't know if that's a gift. But,
that's her and her. I think. No, but I mean, as far as the creative process, are you always thinking of an angle or on a book? Are you always
everything
thinking
is always. I keep a notebook where I can jot things down. I'm
Right.
still a pen and paper guy, but I've always got something going because. It was just like that object thing was an accident,
Right.
and you just never know what'll pop up. So I'm always looking for a new angle. I mean, a friend of mine and I are doing a book on ghost stories from rural murders, which you would be surprised how many people on farms whacked each other with axes
I
in
would be
the
surprised.
1800s, and how many ghost stories that created. So we have an entire book of that
That's great.
coming out, but it's a bit of a niche market,
Yeah, there you
but
go.
it's
Why not?
something different, so.
It kind of harkens to that bloody
Only book
Williamson
like it.
County back
Yeah.
back in the
Same
day with
kind of thing.
Prohibition, because
Yeah.
that's my stomping grounds and how
Sure.
bloody that was, and how literally these dirt poor farmers became moonshine runners and
More
gangsters.
people died in Williamson County than in Chicago during Prohibition, but yet
Wow.
Al Capone
Frankfurt.
gets all the press,
Benton.
So yeah, absolutely.
So now, as far as the creativity and all of that, what do you read? What are your go-to novel? What's in your bookshelf at home?
Well,
Besides your books.
Well, I have to read a lot of history. I mean, that's for work, and I read a lot of crime for work. But when I'm not working, I just want something totally escapist.
Right.
I mean,
You
I
guilty pleasure.
read a
Romance
lot
novels?
of no, not quite that far. A lot of suspense books, Stephen King stuff like that. That kind of thing. John Grisham. I just read anything that I don't have to think about.
Right.
I can just enjoy.
Mad Magazine for me.
Yeah. See, there you go.
That's-
With the big print.
Oh, well, yeah, and it has pictures, for God's sakes. And of course, if they want to find out more about tours and upcoming events that you're doing and being in kind of the central Illinois area, kind of bounce around in the St. Louis area, if they want to maybe get a book signed, do you do that very often when you go out?
Sure. In fact, I don't know if anybody will be in the Jacksonville area, but I'm doing a big event on Friday night as a fundraiser for Fouke Catholic High School in Jacksonville, and I'm putting on a big presentation on Night of Weird and Haunted Illinois, and I gotta say I'm excited about it. I think I've done that presentation 100 times, but it's different this time.
Do you ever get tired of it? I mean, doing stuff like this.
No,
I mean,
not when 300 people show up and want to hear you do something. You can't be tired.
Yeah,
of
you
it.
can't.
You just can't because they're excited. You're excited.
Yeah, they are.
So no, I really don't get tired of it because it's always different.
Right.
It's always different. I mean, I don't do a lot of tours myself anymore. I like to create them, but I used to do them every single night. And you think going into it, you think, oh God. I'm sure you guys probably do the same thing. You're thinking, oh God, I got to go in and I got to talk all day, and then you get in there and you just go. And it's just like putting on a show. It's a lot of fun. And
but you start feeding off the energy.
Yeah, exactly. If you're sitting behind a desk all day, I can't imagine what that must feel like. I just can't imagine.
I
When it comes to getting to do something that you really want to do, I mean, you don't even care what it is as long as you want to do it.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Now,
Yeah, it's been great.
It all comes
Thanks.
to fruition here.
Very cool.
And you're more than welcome to hang around, maybe go on some sightseeing with us there.
Stairs. There's something crawling on the stairs.
Oh, look at that, it's a mouse.
It's a mouse.
Oh, we gotta go.
Look at the little mouse.